Hi guys, welcome to Facebook Live. I'm your host Rose, and
I'm your host Lauren. Welcome.
Today we're going to be covering an interesting topic: how to stay sane when you're overwhelmed. And it sounds easier said than done, but we're going to break it down so it actually maybe is. So, Lauren, before we jump in, do you want to talk a little bit about the do's and don'ts of today?
Sure. So definitely do comment any questions or good feedback or any observations, tips, advice that you have in the comments, because we love to read them and engage with you guys. Definitely like, share, make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. But don't share any of your personal information in the comments. Because that's private and we don't want anybody else to know that, who's also in the comments section with us today. If you have any questions about your account, your program, send us a message directly to this page or call Student Services at 1-888-427-1000. And if you're not a student yet, but you would like to become one, or are thinking about it, call our admissions department at 1-888-465-00, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
And if you're out there and you're watching this and you're feeling a little overwhelmed, give us a care react. We'd like to see how you're feeling, especially going into this winter. It's an interesting winter that we did cover this in our last Facebook Live. It's unlike any winter any of us have ever experienced before. So we'd love to know, get a feel for how you're feeling right now. So just shoot us a care react if you're feeling a little overwhelmed.
Definitely. So like Rose said, today we'll be talking about how to stay sane. So we'll be covering what the causes are of feeling overwhelmed, why it's important to maintain mental health and positivity, and ways to combat feeling stressed out or feeling overwhelmed. But before we get into that, Rose, what has been something that has been overwhelming for you lately that you want to try and combat?
I think being home a lot is kind of overwhelming. There's something about being able to get away from your house that allows you to sort of feel a little bit more like yourself. When you're surrounded by, it's different for everybody, right? But for me, being in my house all the time draws a lot of attention to the things that I should be getting done, either in or around the house, or just, goals that I've had on my mind. So I think that combating that feeling, that cabin fever kind of feeling of just kind of being stuck in the house, I think that would really help me to feel less overwhelmed. How about you, Lauren? How are you feeling? What makes you feel overwhelmed right now?
I think probably similar things, just not feeling like we're back in another phase of not really being able to go anywhere. And then especially this time of year where it's cold and it gets dark really early, and not being able to see friends or family at all or as much, it just feels not great. And I think that's really overwhelming, thinking about like what I can do to get through this winter and not just like totally sink into snacks and TV.
Yeah. I have a little buddy that's showing up over here, my kitty cat. So if you hear him, he's very enthusiastic about meeting you guys. So he might pay a little visit. This is we have the holidays coming up. Mm-hmm. There's always that rush to the finish of the year. There's a lot of things that can contribute to feeling overwhelmed this time of year. And it is so important to take care of your mental health. We really can't drive that home enough. Everyone around you, all the things around you kind of rely on you taking care of yourself first. And I know that's kind of hard for everyone to think about taking care of themselves first, because it feels innately selfish, but it isn't. It actually is the best thing you can do for everyone around you.
For sure.
Why do you think it's important then to really maintain mental health when you are feeling overwhelmed, Lauren?
I think your mental health definitely has an impact on your physical health, for one. So like we all know, like let's all just admit it right now, that if we're not feeling our best, that either can manifest itself in overeating or undereating, whatever type of person you are. Not getting enough sleep. I mean, I'm sure we've all experienced sleepless nights when we're feeling stressed out.
Right.
Picking up bad eating habits, picking up bad other habits to just kind of like be a quick feel good fix. If you're if a bag of chips is what gets you through kind of just like a bummer night. So that impacts how you feel physically. It could also impact the people around you and how you come off to them. So even just the people in your household, if you live with your parents or your significant other and you're kind of not really taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to be there for them. Right. Then they're going to be struggling alone. They're not going to be there for you. It's kind of that bad cycle of no one, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. If you need people to take care of you, you have to take care of them too. And it just all kind of circles around in a bad way. And then if you're in a bad mood, that's going to take a toll on all of your relationships, those that are in your house, and then even just like your friendships. Like if a friend does try to reach out and text you to see how you're doing and you're not in a good mood and you don't text back or you don't call back, that's going to hurt your friendships, because then that friend who reached out is going to feel bad that you didn't, reciprocate their outreach. So
right. Especially because they also probably are struggling too. And if they're reaching out, then it's just kind of like, well, why didn't they get back to me? But let's also face it. I mean, we're around a lot of family right now. Anyone who you live with, you're with all the time. So either you're spending a lot of time alone, which has its implications for mental health, or you're spending a lot of the time with the exact same people all the time. That's overwhelming and a challenge too. I know a lot of people have houses full of kids and they're working from home or they're trying to study from home, and it's super overwhelming because you're covering the bases of being both, maybe a parent or a sibling or a grandparent, or having a grandparent in the house that you didn't have around before that is maybe making things a little bit more restrictive. It really throws off everything a little bit to be in the house with your family 24/7. And that in and of itself is overwhelming. And especially when you're trying to finish school, you're going to school, you're studying, there's elements there, like you need your quiet time. It's hard to find it. It can be stressful for sure. I mean, I know that we experience it, right, Lauren?
For sure.
Yeah.
Rose, I think this brings up a good point. Let's take like a step back and think about, I think for people, sometimes I'll just take a step back for myself. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed, and I'm sure we all feel this way, and we don't really know why or like what's stressing us out. So maybe let's talk about a few things that we're kind of all experiencing right now that could be a source of stress and a source of us feeling overwhelmed. So we can just all take a minute to identify like what is going on. So Rose, what are some major things right now that could cause all of us to be feeling a little bit stressed out and a little bit overwhelmed? And then for all of you guys watching, let us know in the comments if you relate to any of these, and if there's anything that you want to add to the list. Let's talk about those things.
Well, the holidays are stressful. I think they're stressful every year. There's always budgeting concerns for most of us. And if you don't have them, that's great. But, there's holiday budgeting, making sure you're getting everyone checked off your list. The holidays kind of make us remember people we've lost. The holidays alone, outside of a pandemic, can be really challenging for a lot of people. And they are fun and they are joyous and they are family oriented. But sometimes there's a little bit of a bittersweet element to the holidays. Obviously, the pandemic. This is something we are all going through together on a global scale. It is, it's stressful to see what the numbers, creeping up every day on the news, and hearing more about, trying to contain this virus that we're now just all living in. I mean, think back to our first at-home Facebook Live. It was like, who knows how long this would be going on. I don't think any of us thought we would be continuing to do at-home Facebook Lives, almost around Thanksgiving. So the pandemic is just one of those it's a giant what if every day. It's just overwhelming to think of. So what do? Like, we tend to stay inside and we distance and we do all these things that creates a whole other kind of overwhelming feeling, which is, that cabin feeling. You want to live your life, you want to go out. This all feels, is it really necessary? And it's stuff that we're all we have so much, I don't want to say we have so much time, because we don't have more time looping the same ideas in our heads about the pandemic. And, what if I just ignore it today? Like, we can't just ignore it any day. So that's always very overwhelming.
And it's stressful to worry if you're going to get sick or if a family member is going to get sick. That's scary. Super
stressful. I don't know about you guys out there, but I have an older dad, and it's something that I do worry about. And, there's a lot of people who do well and they do overcome the virus. And then there are some that don't. And it's a huge risk. It's just a scary feeling to make sure that you're taking care of everyone the best that you can. I think people who have kids, like, nobody wants their kid to get sick with a cold, let alone the coronavirus. So it is something that's just a constant surrounding all of us. We all know it's on TV every day. I mean, even the TV shows that we're watching that used to be a step away from reality, now you can tell that even like the way things are filmed, everything's a little bit different. It's just a very consuming part of our life right now. There are things we can do, though, to combat it. And then, of course, there's everyday stress, just the usual stuff. So you have like work and school and family and all that stuff that you would normally be trying to balance at any given time of year, even in the best year, even in not 2020. So there's a lot to be overwhelmed about. But there's also ways to combat this stuff. And there's always the light at the end of the tunnel. This is not going to last forever.
Yes.
And we can get through it. So Lauren, for you, I don't know if you guys know this, but Lauren's like very, very positive. When Lauren started at Penn Foster, we were all very, very happy. She's just a ray of sunshine. So she really is the best person to talk to about this next thing, which is some ways to combat the feeling of being overwhelmed. I know that you're very organized and you're also very just joyful, but you're also very realistic. You do get down, you do get overwhelmed, and you always have great advice for how to handle that. So what are some ways that you combat stress, Lauren?
Thanks, Rose. And also, I definitely stress myself out a lot. And I don't know if anyone else does this, but I think it's like a motivation tactic for me to assume the worst so that I can like work towards the best. So it's like a really weird ring. But I think it's like a lot of what we just talked about. Like, the first step is acknowledging what it exactly is that's making you feel stressed and thinking about ways that you can address those issues. And like Rose was saying, right now, there's so much happening in the world and in our lives that it might not just be one thing. It might be many things. And some of them are inside of our control and some of them are outside of our control. And so I think with that, it's like, I always say, like, worry about the stuff that is in your power to worry about. And then it takes like a power from within to kind of just accept the things that are out of our control. But making progress on the things that we do have the power to change, it'll at least make you feel like you're making progress and you're working towards feeling better. So, that's a great thing to do. And I think staying organized is another great thing. Like, knowing that you have, especially when there's a lot going on and you're stressed about a lot of things, or you have a lot happening in your life, having a list of everything you need to do, everything you need to accomplish, sometimes prioritizing that list. One thing that I do when I'm feeling overwhelmed is like, I want to do everything all at once so that I get it all over with, but you can't do that. So I'll have to like number my to-do list in priority order and like force myself to follow it in order so that I don't just start trying to do everything all at once and just end up in like a jumble of things.
Is the simplest thing in the world. I mean, people have been making them forever. I'm sure there's cave drawings of to-do lists.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that they're so effective. Like, it really is effective to write down I mean, even write down your anxieties, write things down, look at it, see it all in one place, and then figure out ways that you can check those things off your list. I really think that like having just a simple checklist around is a motivator, and it does keep things neat. And sometimes it's nice, like when you're really super overwhelmed, to like get a cup of coffee, push everybody away from you, find a corner in your house, find somewhere quiet, and just sit down and have that little moment to yourself to then just like, you know, reflect, write things down. I think even the motion of writing things down, it kind of brings everything up from up here, like it brings it back down to like a normal sort of center, where it's a really good place then to think about like, why am I overwhelmed and how can I overcome this feeling? Because it's the worst feeling. I don't know about you, Lauren, but like being overwhelmed is either like, I need to get everything done right now, or I just need to immediately take a nap.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, for sure.
Can't face it, need to just sleep. So I think having those, like, almost make it a treat for yourself to sit down, make it as much of a little getaway as you can, to just be like, allow yourself just to think and write down what's bothering you and write down when you want to get accomplished, and make the very best little hot drink on a nice cold day to keep you feeling a little bit better.
That's great advice, Rose. And I think what goes with that too is like setting a schedule. So like plan to give yourself some time to take a break when you need a break, and plan to give yourself time to do some work when you need to do some work, so that you know it all fits together. And I think that can help reduce stress and anxiety too, because when you're feeling overwhelmed, you're like, I have no time. I feel like your first thought is always like, I have no time to get everything done.
Right.
And if you kind of like map it out for yourself, then you can see like, okay, I can work on school from like this time to this time. I can help my kids with school from this time to this time. I can do my errands from this time to this time. And then at the end of the day, I can just chill and watch TV and take a break. And that helps to make you feel like it will all fit together and it's all going to be okay.
I think you've said this before, Lauren, about like one of your organization and anxiety helper tips, that you kind of parent yourself. I think I've heard you say that before. And it's almost like the idea, it's so much easier when I think about like, if I had to write like, you know, my brother a schedule of like, hey, you should do this, and, you know, do this at 8 a.m. and then do this at noon. And, you know, I could easily whip that up for him. But when I have to do it for myself, it becomes this huge, terrifying project. So there's something about just sort of almost objectively stepping out of yourself and looking back at what you need to do, and like write it down like you're writing a schedule for somebody else, and like planning things for somebody else, because it does kind of take away that like that very overwhelming element that it's, you know, directly related to you. I'm much better at helping out like my niece, like, oh, you need something, can whip it right up, I can solve that problem for you. But when it's for myself, it's a little bit different. So it's almost like playing a character, like you're playing a parent, like you like to parent yourself, where you like ground yourself when you don't get your work done.
Well, it started when I was in school, and I was just I had school going on, I had a job, I had an internship, I had friends that I wanted to see. So what I would do is I would give myself like deadline, like within the day, like I have to finish writing this assignment by 4 p.m. And I would give myself that deadline. And then I would say, if I don't meet this deadline, then I can't hang out with my friends later. Or I can't do that fun thing or relax or whatever it was that I was looking forward to. And I would like get it in my mind that I couldn't do the fun thing unless I did the work thing. Yeah. And I don't know if that necessarily helped me not feel stressed in the moment, but it helped me feel a lot better when I would get things done. I think a big thing that helped was like, it would help me get things done not at the last minute. So like I would do my assignments like days before I planned for the deadline, to like a real deadline or a planned deadline would be done days before, so that I wasn't stressed about, oh my gosh, what if something happens at the last minute? And I knew I would give myself like a little wiggle room that way. So it ended up really working out.
Right. Because you don't want those things to all compile and become a bigger, more overwhelming problem. Like it's like baby steps, you know, bite by bite. You got to make everything like extra attainable within the day. And like we talked about in our last Facebook Live, setting attainable small goals does keep things, makes you feel like you're not struggling to keep your head above water just a little bit more, for sure.
Yeah,
also,
being proactive.
Facebook Live, which kind of goes into what I think we should talk about next, which is exercise.
Yeah, Rose, you're the expert.
Yeah. I have been incorporating more walks, and it is much better as far as that was one of my end of year goals, is to incorporate more walks into my routine. And today I took a beautiful walk, and it was cold, but it definitely is a mood booster, and so is exercise. As far as feeling overwhelmed, there's actually studies about exercising that say that when you're done exercising, your brain function is better and sharper, and you have more energy, because we are basically, we're batteries. It's like if you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing. We need the blood flow, we need the oxygen, we need all that energy. So, in turn, it sort of, exercise helps everything. It boosts your mood. It's just hard to get started, so start small. But it is really good for at least staving off that anxious feeling of being overwhelmed. It at least curbs that as a starter, but I think there's a lot more benefits to it. I think it makes you sharper and makes your goals a little bit more attainable, because you just feel more motivated in general.
Plus, if you're like Rose and you have dogs,
yes,
or dogs singular, dogs plural, like Rose, you make your dog happy too if you go take them for a little walk.
Yeah, that's a very good point. My dogs love it. A little family time and a walk. Also, going outside is, just some fresh air and sunshine. It's hard to get this time of year because there's just a little bit less sunshine than other times of year. But if you can somehow schedule in 15-minute step outside, and it's cold, so dress appropriately, but that also can help you feel less anxious and less overwhelmed. Just having a moment to yourself outside feels really good. Feels like everything kind of slows down for a minute.
That's true.
Did you go outside today, Lauren?
No. I probably should.
Everyone should go outside for like a minute today. Just go outside. Take a big breath of fresh air, but make sure to, bundle up. It's a little chilly.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing you can do if you don't like the cold is maybe just like drink a nice calming cup of tea, or like if you really run on coffee and it doesn't give you the jitters at this point, a hot cup of coffee, a hot cup of hot chocolate.
That's a good point.
A nice warm drink on a cold day does a lot to soothe your soul.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because there is I think there are two different types of people when they get overwhelmed. There's the people that are just like, I need to power down and not think. And then there's the people that are like, I need to go, 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 go. Mm-hmm. It's like the two ends of the spectrum. So if you are someone who goes into that kind of manic go, 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 go feeling, maybe lay off the coffee and make your warm drink something a little bit more soothing. But maybe if you're someone who's having a hard time finding some motivation, maybe have a nice latte and get a little espresso, so it gives you a little boost. Of course, as long as you know yourself and you know what drinks you can handle, which warm drinks you can handle, especially while you're making your to-do list. But I think that's a really nice thing, because it's a little bit of self-care too. It's like making sure that you're spending some time in your day just for you, like taking a warm bath, having a candle lit. I know it all sounds so cheesy, but it really does make you feel a lot better. I know this because I do it. Do you do that too? Like when you're feeling down in the dumps, or just a little high strung? There's something about just spending a little bit of time like with a face mask on. 15 minutes is all you really need.
Water is just super calming in general. Like if you live by the water, you should just go take a walk by the water, go take a bath. Like there's just something about it that's so nice.
It's true. Even just a nice hot shower, because you can't like scroll through your phone while you're in the shower, I don't think. And if you are, that's...
You have to get crafty, I think.
But it's nice just to have a moment to just think for yourself, in any way that is. And if you can incorporate some little treats like a nice candle or one of those aromatherapy diffusers or whatever it is, just makes that moment feel a little bit more special. And it, again, like brings you to a place of feeling less overwhelmed and more normal.
Mm-hmm. One more piece of advice would be to rely on the people around you. So I rely on Rose to be there for me. For example, I think it's good to have positive, nice friends or family members that if you need a little boost, or if you need someone to tell you it's going to be okay, or if you need a little bit of help, like someone to pick up the kids that day because you're just too busy, or like somebody to, if you need one thing from the grocery store and your friend is going to the grocery store, that they can like drop off that one thing you need, or whatever it may be. But I think especially this time of year, like we all need to rely on each other, and it's totally okay to ask for help. Find somebody that you trust, somebody that you can talk to, vent to them, ask them for what you need, and tell them how you've been feeling, and really let them be there for you.
And I think we brought this up a couple weeks ago, but the Penn foster community is here for you. We are here for you. Mm-hmm. We care about you. We genuinely do. We want to see you do well. We want to see you succeed. And if you don't have a positive circle in your life, you do have a positive circle at Penn Foster, and we are here for you to give you that, because a lot, it is a challenge sometimes to find those people in your life that you do really trust, or even just to make friends is challenging. But the Penn Foster community, which is technically Penn Foster, the Penn Foster community, but it is also all of Penn Foster. That's all of our social media, and right here today, the comments, people in the comments. This is a new community. If you don't have a community that you feel like you can really lean on, there are so many wonderful students and graduates and people who are even considering becoming students that really want to help each other. And it's awesome. I know that Lauren and I frequently will, we have obviously the comments right now, but we will check out different groups and different pages on the community, and we see really heartwarming stuff. Like there's a lot of really wonderful, caring people in our community that we are so, so proud of. So if you feel like you need to reach out to somebody, make friends right here. Make friends right at Penn Foster. And sometimes just talking about your feelings makes things a lot easier. I mean, I love the vet tech group. If anybody out there is in the vet tech group, it's so cool to see how you guys all track your progress, and you talk about career moves, and then you just talk about bad days, all sorts of things, personal stuff, professional stuff. It's a really wonderful thing to see. And that is Penn Foster. We're not just a school, we are a family, and we mean it. So if you need someone to rely on, you can always rely on us.
Always. Well, thank you guys for joining today. We always appreciate having you here and engaging in these conversations with us. And we hope that throughout the rest of this winter, you can use some of these tips or tips of your own to combat some of the anxiety and stress and feelings of overwhelmed that we're all feeling. And we're here for you, and we support you.
This is temporary. You're going to get through it, and you're going to be a stronger person on the other side of it. We all are, and you got goals, and you're going to accomplish them. It's going to be awesome, and we're all rooting for you. So
definitely.
And happy holidays.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.
Okay, bye.
Bye.